Okay, we are going to go over the homework from section 2.2.3 and follow along with me. Pause when you need to work through the problems, and yes, let's go. All right, so on number 85 says, Birdie is the Shape Factory's top employee. She has received awards every month for having the top sales figure so far this year. If she stays on top, she'll receive $5,000 bonus for excellence. She currently has sold 16,250 shapes and continues to sell 340 per month. Since there are 8 months left in the sales year, Sarita is working hard to catch up. She wants a bonus too. While she has only sold 8,830 shapes, she is working overtime and on weekends so that she can sell 1,082 per month. Wow. Will Sarita catch up with Birdie before the end of the sales year? If so, when? Okay, so this is a very much an algebra problem. Let's set up the equations for both Birdie and Sarita. Right. So let's talk about Birdie. How much has Birdie sold already? Well, Birdie has sold 16,250 already, right? And then she's going to sell more. So it's going to sell more to sell 340 per month, right? X is the number of months. So it's 8 more months, but maybe she will get to the same place as Sarita, or Sarita will catch up with her sometime between now and the 8 months. So we don't know if it's exactly after 8 months. So that's why I put an X there. All right. Sarita, on the other hand, has only started with 8,830, but she's working overtime, so she's selling 1,082 times how many months, right? So when will they catch up? Well, they will catch up if they have the same exact amount. So then the quickest way to go about that is then to take these two equations and set them equal to each other because they are the same amount. That's when they catch up to each other. So 16,250 plus 340x equals 8,830 plus 1082x. All right, remember, my personal preference, I like x to be positive, so I'm going to subtract the 340x from both sides. Subtract 340x, subtract 340x. Okay, and now I have 16,250 equals 8,830 plus, oh my goodness, I have to do this in my head. All right, 742x. Yes, have the calculator handy if you want. I don't expect you to do these giant numbers in your heads, all right? Okay, now that we've moved our variable, we are going to go ahead and move our number here. So subtract 8,830 from both sides. Okay, you now have, all right, now I really need my calculator. It's a little late in the evening, so I'm going to rely on my handy dandy calculator. So 16,250 minus 8,830, I get a lovely number of 7,420. The other side 742x. If I divide by both sides, divide 742 by both sides. Divide 742 from both sides. Sorry. So, oh my goodness, x is equal to 10. It will take 10 months for them to catch up. But problem is there's only 8 months left in the sales year. So is Sarita going to catch up in time? No, not in time. So let's answer when. All right, so Sarita, because this is a word problem, make sure you answer with words or at least some complete sentences, right? Sarita will catch up by 10 months. Right? So, not before the end of sales here. Yeah, sorry. So, Birdie is going to get the bonus. Okay? All right. Next problem. Calculate the shape of the shaded region at the right. Use the appropriate units. So, this is a very odd shape. Now, let's look at the bigger picture. For me, the bigger picture is this beautiful rectangle on the outside, right? So if I calculate the entire rectangle, and then I decided to take away this triangle here, that would give me the shaded region. So that's my game plan. Okay, let's clean this up because it's kind of gross that I did all that. Okay, all right, let's start with the big rectangle. So the big rectangle was 17 by 8. So the area of the rectangle is 17 times 8, right? 17 times 8, 7 times 8 is 56. 1 times 8 plus 5, 136 square units, right? Oh, that's actually square inches because of the two little marks, right? Okay, what about the area of the triangle? So area of the triangle is going to be 1/2 So again, turn your paper around, right? This is your base, and this is your height again. There's no, the height is making 90-degree angle with the base, and that's what we discussed before. So these are my base and height. So 1/2 base times height, and that will give me 4 times 17, which gives me 68 square inches. Since I only want the shaded region, I take the 2 and I subtract, and I get 68 square inches. Okay. Now, is this the only way to approach it? No, it's not. You could have said, well, Ms. Shu, that's way too much work. Could you have done something else? Yes. Could you have done it so that you drew a line down this way and see that the shaded and this region are exactly the same, and the shaded and this region are exactly the same. So I really don't want the shaded region. I could have just figured out the triangle itself. And notice my answer here does prove that. The triangle itself is the same as the shaded region. So you could have approached it that way. Either way, we get the same answer. All right? Beautiful. All right, next question. This is a fun one. How tall are you? Yeah, not very tall, not for me. How do you measure your height? Consider these questions as you answer the question below. Okay, so why do you stand up straight to measure your height? Well, if you don't stand up straight, right, depending on how far you lean, well, it's still you, but it's hard to lean. First of all, it's really hard to lean and measure your height because then someone has to follow you. Whereas if you stand up straight, you could lean against the wall and someone can mark it and you can measure that way. And that's how I always measured it as a kid. You have your own answers, but I think bottom line is if you stand straight to measure a height, that is a true height. When you lean, sometimes the slant you have is going to be very different than what you really are, what your true height, right? So again, you can come up with a really nice answer for this one. Okay, so with that discussed, which diagram best represents how you would measure your height? I would say diagram 1, because diagram 1, I am standing perpendicular to the ground, right? All right. When you measure your height, do you measure up to your chin, down to your knees? Explain. Your full height is from the farthest end to the farthest end, right? So I measure, typically I do, because I really want to be tall, but I'm not. So I measure from my heel to the top of my head. Right? If you only get up to the chin, you're missing this whole piece up here. That's a couple of inches there. If you only measure up to your knees, there's a couple more inches there too. So I measure from tip to tip, the highest to the lowest tip. Okay? All right. Number 2 to 88 here says, read the math box, notes box for this lesson. Is talking about the conditional statements that you were reading with your teachers. So then rewrite each of the following statement as a conditional statement. Mr. Spelling is always unhappy when it rains. So when you're writing a conditional statement, you're going to change it to if, then form. You're going to break the sentences apart so that there's an if, there's a cause, and then there's an effect, right? So, and you may have to change things around a little bit, meaning like just kind of switch the order around. So for me, the sentence is a lot easier to say if I say, if it rains, then Mr. Spelling will be unhappy, right? We know the cause. The cause is the rain. What's going to happen? He's going to be unhappy, right? So again, you got to make sure that your sentence still flows and it follows this nice way of if then, okay? All right. Next one says the sum of two even numbers is always even. So what do I do? Think about it for a moment. Pause if you need a moment to think. All right. I think I'm going to say if I add two even numbers, then the sum will always be even, right? So if adding two even numbers, then the sum, the answer, will be even. And that's really true. So try it out. Okay? All right. Last one says, Marla has a piano lesson every Tuesday. If Marla has a piano lesson, then it is Tuesday? Yeah, I think so. I think, again, grammatically, if we switch it around, I think it flows a little better. If it is Tuesday, then Marla has a piano lesson. like my kids, if it's Monday through Friday, they have Chinese lesson. So yeah, they're not too happy about that. All right, so if it is Tuesday, then Marla has a piano lesson. Okay, all right, so that's how you change the statement into a conditional statement, making it an if, then. All right. All right, last problem here, we are going to simplify the expression. So just kind of a reminder of how to combine your like terms. Remember, we're just simplifying the expressions. We're not solving. So your final answer should not be x equals or, a numerical answer like 4 or 2, right? So again, let's combine our x's, and my rule of thumb is I cross it out as I go, so I know that I've used it already. So in the first one, I go 2x plus 6x, that gives me 8x. And then I got 8 and 5, so it gives me 13. And that is it. No solving. That's it. Just combining like terms. Okay. All right. Part B has a little bit more now. We're distributing before we combine them. So let's distribute first. You have 15. That one didn't do anything. Then distribute the 3 to the 2 and the negative 4. So that gives me 6x and then minus 12 minus 4x. Okay. Now I'm going to combine like terms. Okay. I got 6x minus 4x. That gives me just only 2x because the positive 6x and 4x. I got positive 2x left over. And then 15 minus 12, I got a positive 3 left over. Okay, that's it. Now I'm going to have two distributive properties here. So I'm going to distribute twice, all right? Take your x, distribute once, distribute twice. That gives me 3x squared, and then it gives me a 4x beautifully. Then take the negative 3 and distribute. You get negative 9x. And distribute that again, you get negative 12. Combine like terms, the two x's in the middle will combine nicely. So you have 4x minus 9x minus 5x. That's the final product, or final sum, sorry. Minus 12, and that's your final answer. Okay, last but not least, there's a couple of distributive property here, so make sure you distribute and go. So let's distribute the 5x to 2x. That gives me 10x squared. And then distribute to 7, that gives you 35x. And then plus 3x squared. And then minus 5x. Okay, now let's combine like terms. I got 10x squared and 3x, that's 13x squared. Sorry, not 3x, 3x squared. And I have 35x minus 5x, that's 30x. And that's it, all right? So do email us or come to office hour if you have questions about the homework. But that is it for this homework assignment.